We live, baby.
That's all good. Let me turn this on real quick. There you go. There you go. Hey, what it do? What it do, man? Welcome to another episode of Deconflicted. I'm one of your hosts, Antoine Jarvis. We got my brother. I'm gonna go ahead and let the brother introduce himself real quick.
Hey, world, you know who it is. It's your boy, Brian Boggs. Here to just spit some game and don't clean off your face.
There you go. There you go. Hey, man. And we're gonna bring to you today a conversation about the 3 Ds in life. You got the discernment, you got decisions, and you got deconfliction. And today we're gonna go into why people can't make decisions. Now, do you think it's people? Do you think people can't make decisions, or what do you think that? What do you think people's one of people's challenges are when it comes to decision making?
I think people are scared to make decisions. Um, People are so concerned about making the wrong decision that they live in indecision.
Wrong decision that they live in indecision. Okay, okay,
You know what I'm saying? Because, like,
okay.
think about it.
Tell me about that.
If you ask somebody, what they think of something, they're gonna give you something. But then they're gonna give you the flip side of it. They're gonna play both sides of the track. And the same come with decisions. Like when, let's say, a person wants to buy a car
Hmm.
and he got in his mind the car he want to buy. But then when he get to the place, he gonna let other factors impact him buying that car, which is perfectly okay. Like, first of all, everything is okay if you want it to
Correct.
be. So let's say I want to go to the car dealership and I want to buy me a Bentley, right? I made a decision. I'm gonna buy me a Bentley. So I get to the dealership. I want to buy a Bentley, but now the price tag is at something. I say, oh man, I can't pay that. All right. Well, what else you got? You know what I'm saying? We got a Volkswagen. We somebody just traded in. All right, let me get that. See, and that's the thing of that inability to make a decision. Because see, with decision comes responsibility. When you make a decision to do something, you got to do that stuff, and you got to do all the prerequisites required to get there.
Mm,
And people don't like necessarily doing the prerequisites.
okay. Why do you think? Answer me this, brother. Why do you think there is a responsibility attached to a person's own inability to make a decision when ultimately the outcome is whether it affects others or not, ultimately it falls upon that one individual.
Ask me that question another way. I got lost a little bit.
Okay, so um the question is because you said you know what I mean responsibility escapes people from correct me if I'm wrong if I make sure I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Responsibility escapes accountability escapes people. Responsibility escapes people um, when it comes to the decision making. My question I'm asking is um, why does because and I want to play off of what you said earlier because you said everything's okay,
Right.
right? And I think that the reason why I want you to touch on this because I think that that's a vital component to why it's okay to make decisions. You
Facts.
understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly
Um,
where you're going with it now.
so so I wanted you to touch on what the responsibilities and accountabilities and how that ties into decision making, if you
Facts.
will.
So, and this is where it all ties together to me is that when it comes to making a decision, like, one, you should not be making decisions unless that's what you really decide. The problem is a lot of people are making decisions about stuff they really ain't sure about. Oh,
Hmm.
and they're not confident in that decision. So they'll just talk, and it's not really a decision. You know what I'm saying? Now they just putting some words out there, but it's not really a decision. Because see, a decision is decisive,
Right.
and you do what's required. You're responsible and accountable to the decision you made.
Right.
The problem is people have lost that responsibility and accountability to their decisions because they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna say this, but if that don't work out, then I'm gonna do this. And that's the detriment with a lot of people when it comes to decision making, and that's why there's a lot of bad decision making because people don't really take the time to analyze and look at the logical process to come out with a decision that brings the outcome that's really possible for them.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Or let me say
Okay.
probable for them. Because
Okay.
anything's possible, but what's probable? What are you likely to accomplish?
Correct.
You
There's a
know,
difference.
it's a big difference. It's a
There's a
huge
difference.
difference, and that's the thing that I see when I see a lot of people that can't make decisions. You ask person, hey, what you want to eat for dinner? I don't know, man. I think I want chicken. You know what? Nah, I want pizza. Nah, you know what, man? I want pork chops. Hey, man, make a decision.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think that falls along the lines of knowing how to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? The question is, are people being taught, you know what I mean, what it takes to being able to make decisions? Um, are people even able to define the problem in a scenario? You know what I'm saying? Because I think that that's a very important concept to understand because part of decision making is being able to figure out what is the problem or what is the challenge that's in front of me.
And the real problem,
The real problem,
not a
exactly the
symptom,
root,
not the symptom, the
not the
real
symptom.
problem.
Yes, let's get to the root of this. Yes, and I think that's where so many people struggle with. That's why they're not decision makers because they're not they don't specialize or haven't got good at being able to figure out the real root of a problem. You going to sleep, bro? Okay, bro. Love you, bro. Um,
So
I
why do you
think that
think
that's
that people struggle with it?
I think because they don't know how to they don't know the process of or the steps to decision making. I think that's what it boils down to. A lot of people were taught a certain concept, right? You got to be a decision maker. You got to do critical thinking, right? But a lot of people weren't taught the steps of how to actually do it and do it effectively. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at like I said, let's look at the problem. Let's analyze this. Let's find a solution for this. And then can I learn from, right? Can I learn from that experience I just had? Because when you learn from that experience you just had, that's going to set you up for future decision making capabilities.
Right.
But if you didn't learn, because here's the thing, if you didn't learn from the last situation and you don't know how to process and understand how to make decisions, then I mean you're going through life being afraid to make the decision because you thinking everything's going to be it's going to be the wrong decision. So I'll let somebody else make that decision.
True. Now, let's say you have learned how to make a decision. Let's say you've learned how to critically think, analyze, and get to a decision. Because it's people that know how to do that, but they still have trouble with making decisions.
I mean like you said earlier, um, anytime anytime the responsibility falls on me from a decision I got to make, that may slow me down from saying I'm the one who said we should do this.
There you go.
You know
That
what I'm saying? Like
accountability part.
that
People
accountability
hate
part of
being
that.
accountable. They hate it
But why though?
because
That's the $1 million question right there.
that is the $1 million question. And I got some guesstimations of
Right.
what I think the accountability problem is, to me, I think one of the things is, one, people don't want to say, I did that. They don't want to be at fault. They don't want to say, you know what, I put us in this situation.
Mm.
I chose this. So they'll rather say, well, I didn't have many choices. And you always got choices. You just pick bad.
Yeah. I ain't had no choice in the matter.
Exactly.
Got you. Okay. So somebody put a gun to your head is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You
It's
know
and it's a
that.
struggle. It's a struggle, man. Because I know me personally as a father and as a man, and you. This is something you understand as well. It's like, we want to, assume that role. We welcome the role of decision maker. We welcome the role of, critical thinking, because it's not a negative for us because there's really no perfect answer to anything. So we're literally
Fact.
just trying to experience life based off of our experiences. So we're going to respond to these new experiences based off our old experiences. And we're going to try to, when presented with new information, try to process and dissect the challenges that we do come across and try to come up with the best solution, the most effective and sufficient solution to our challenges that's going to give us the ability to make the best decision to what we're encountering, if that makes sense. And it's work. You know what I'm saying? It definitely
Absolutely.
is work, because you can't have, with how fast technology is moving today, you can't use what you know yesterday in the future.
Well, you can, but you just gotta have those caveats that
Yes,
things may
I
be
can see that.
different. Things may be a little different because if you look at it, your future is always informed by your past, but it
Mm,
shouldn't. But it should only be informed by your past. It shouldn't be based on your past.
I can see that. And
You know
and
what
I
I'm
should have
saying?
I should have put that I should have put that qualifier on there with, because again, nobody's reading my mind, and this is what I always got to remember when having a conversation with my brother. Um, when I'm talking to you, I always got to remember, listen, Twan, nobody's reading your mind when you say something, so don't forget to add. You know what I'm saying, to finish your thought, because if you don't, it's going to be an incomplete sentence. Um,
Right.
but you are absolutely right. Um, and that was the caveat that I was thinking. You got to be able to take, because obviously, yes, you can use what you know in the past to make decisions today and make some pretty sound ones. I mean, look at us, we're here today.
Right.
Um, but like you said, there's little caveats to this, and there's certain ways you gotta look at certain things, certain ways that you gotta analyze, and when dealing with certain type of people. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to my brother and a good friend of ours, and we were talking about multiple personalities, right? And is it a disorder, or is it just chaos within that we try to process and figure out and work out every single day? And the reason why I brought this up is because when we're talking about decisions, right? When we think about decisions, I sit there and I think about, like, okay, when we were little, we would talk to our mom one way, we would talk to our homeboys another way, we
Hmm.
would talk to our teachers another way. You know what I'm saying? We would talk
Right.
to authority another way. So we would use these different personalities when talking to people, and I think that that's where the and obviously I'm not sure, but in my mind I'm like, that's where the chaos started, because now we're trying to process, how to talk to the people, what I mean, in our lives in a way that I'm not saying or disrespecting moms that's going to cause me to get a whooping. I'm still, talking to, friends in a way that, in a language and an understanding that everybody can understand. Excuse me. Authority is going to get a different version of me. You know what I'm saying? And I got to balance all of that while I'm still trying to process, who I am going through my adolescent to adult ages. Does that make sense?
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I disagree,
Go ahead,
but I,
touch on
I
that.
understand where you're coming from.
Go
So
ahead, touch on that. Why you disagree, brother?
so for me, I'm totally different, and I think it's always important to be you should have a consistent personality,
Hmm.
but you tailor your message for your audience. Like the way you
Okay.
deliver your message changes based upon your audience, but you should always have the same personality of who you are, um, because if you do that, if you're always your authentic self, people will respect that, and they'll trust you. I My time in the military, I was the same person when I was enlisted and when I was an officer. And I treated people the same way. I had to say I was consistent. Some people say, "Man, that dude crazy. I can't believe he do this." I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm me. I'm gonna be me. I ain't here to make you comfortable. I'm here
Right.
to make you understand me, because I'm gonna be authentic to me. Now I might talk to one set of people one way and another set of people a different way, because I'm gonna tailor my message to my audience that way, so that my impact matches the intent of my message. But I'm always gonna give you the same personality. I'm always gonna give you the same Brian. I'm never gonna give you a different person, because I think to be a different type of person would be detrimental, because now I got to keep up with these different versions of me, and that seems like too much to do.
Mm. I can see that. I can see that well, how you just explained it is a better way of explaining the concept I presented is how I'm talking to them,
Right,
how I'm delivering, how I'm delivering my thoughts, how I'm delivering
right,
what I'm trying to bring to you. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's much better. I like that explanation better, because it hits on the realization of, because as you're talking, I'm taking it in, and then trying to also analyze my childhood, my growth and my process, that I went through, and that's what it boils down to. You know what I mean? I kind of cater my delivery based off the audience.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm a lie through my teeth when I'm talking to the police.
of
You
course.
know what I'm saying? Um, you know what I'm saying?
They
When it
gonna lie
comes
to
to
you?
authority, because they're going to lie to me. On top of that, they told me everything you say can and will be used against me in a court of law. So why in the hell am I going to tell you anything that's going to help you to wash me? You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Um,
I believe in the
then
silent part. I use the
come on,
silence.
there you go. It's silent treatment. You know what I'm saying? And then talking to mom, the things I'm gonna convey to her and relay to her is gonna be delivered totally different.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? And again, to bring that all forward, full force back to what we were talking about before, which is decisions. Um, you know, being able to being able to think, being able to process the challenge or the problem right then and there,
right,
you know what I'm saying, gives you the ability to be able to make a decision. And I think as I'm learning, right, I'm learning people who can be in a room with people, having conversations with people, and the person that can make the most sufficient, I can't say the best decision, but I'll say the most sufficient decisions, where it's a win-win for everybody. I think to me, based off my experience, those people have been the most productive and the most successful at decision making.
Right,
You
but
know what
wouldn't
I'm
that be the
saying?
best decision though?
Yeah, but that's hard though. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
That's hard.
I
But
remember
that is the best
best
decision
is
though.
based
Yeah,
upon a
that
moment
is
in
the best
time.
decision. Yeah,
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 best
yeah.
is a
That
see,
is the best decision
yeah, best is a moment in
in
time.
most cases. Yeah,
In
yeah.
most cases, you know what I'm saying? Hey, the best that you could do. You know, if you make the best decision that you can make, hey, that's awesome.
Right. And see that and the reason why I say that most decisions because again, when talking to the people of authority, you know, I may not tell them the truth. You know what I'm saying? More than likely, if they're depending on the badge they wear, I'm not going to tell them the truth. Um,
But don't do that to
and so
federal
it's not
agents. You know, it's a law.
it's
It's a crime to lie to a federal agent.
oh yeah, well again depending on the badge that they wearing, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
is going to
thanks.
determine, what I how I relay my message and everything. And that's what I was saying. It's not always going to be a win-win. You know what I
Right.
mean? Sometimes I'm trying to I'm in a situation where I got to win, and if you lose, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? Um, Obviously, when it comes to friends and families and business and things like that, then we try to push for the win-win situations to the best of our abilities. But again, it requires us to be able to process, define what is the problem, what is the challenge, be able to analyze it, and then be able to make a decision based off the information we have, and then try to learn from learn from that. A lot of people, um and I'm gonna say this, and I want you to touch on this, man, and give your idea on this. A lot of people fail to create the habit of being the type of person that enjoys to read. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is you can go to Google right now and type in what are the steps of decision making, and
Hmm.
somebody will give you about seven, eight, or nine, 10 steps of what it takes to be a decision maker.
Right.
If you weren't taught that, you know what I'm saying? If you weren't taught that, then, and again, this is another way you make a decision because you have to make a decision to be that person to want to
To be
have the
informed.
desire. Yeah, want to be to have the. If we're being honest, you got
Yeah.
to want to make that decision to be, be informed.
Yeah.
And man, it's one of those things where you realize being a good decision maker, and whether it comes to relationships or not, because we can go in different directions because again, it's not I can see why for some people it's not easy because a lot of people are concerned with what people who aren't really relevant is going to think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you're in a situation, you're in a relationship, and you're getting beat up on, and it's not the best place to be, and for some reason you made a choice to stay there, versus making the best decision for you, which is leave that situation.
I mean, but that could be
And,
the best decision for them as well, though. Technically, like let's say they don't have no means to support themselves, and the biggest fear they have is survival. So the decision to stay in their mind might be the best decision because it ensures their survival. Not saying it's a good decision, but it's
okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
you know what I'm
We,
saying.
we we're
But
definitely
for
not talking
them,
about good or bad
it's
decisions.
it's the it's the it's the best decision that they can make. But I think one of the things
That's a
people
cold reality, brother. I need you to
ain't it.
touch on that a little bit. I need you because you're not wrong, and I see where you're going. Please touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so like one of the things, for me, I think is when it comes to decisions, people, like I said, they'll make the best decision based upon the data that's important to them. But that doesn't define it as a good decision or a bad decision. Because the one part of the game that some people don't realize is that sometimes a so-called bad decision is really a good decision. You know, sometimes when you lose, you win. In White Man Can't Jump. Sometimes when you win, you really lose, and sometimes when you lose, you really win, and sometimes when you win, you really lose a tie. All that kind of stuff. But the thing is, it's true though, because there's the addition by subtraction. You know, you lost something, the subtraction, but you actually gained, and people really have a hard time seeing that part of a decision where you gain when you get rid of something,
Mm.
because you're looking at all the data and not just the data that's right in front of you. So many people, like the saying, you can't see the forest because of the trees, you know, not realizing the trees are the forest. but you know what I'm
That
saying?
part. That part. Not
And
even knowing the
it's all around
trees
them.
are full. That's real. That's
You
real.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's real.
And they get caught up in details
Mm.
that don't matter. Because like I know myself, especially like when I'm talking to my kids, and if I have a conversation with them and they start going into some details, I said the details don't matter. I said get out the details. Stop thinking about the details. Details are going to distract you from what you really need to decide. Look at what the situation is. Get out your details. Get out of what you're feeling. Look at the situation. You need to do this or that. Which one you gonna do?
That's a tough one because
Yeah,
and it sounds like again, this is why I say it's important to learn the process of things that we do because it sounds like what you just described is with people having the challenge with analyzing the situation that they're in,
they
to
see the
be
symptom.
able to make the best decision possible
Yep.
based off of what they that's why I say and I and again, you can, just don't take my word for it. You can look it up for yourself. Look at the steps it takes to make a decision or be a decision maker. And there's tons of, people talking about um, what it takes and the actual steps,
Right.
to being able to do that. And the part that you sounds like you were touching on, which is a challenge, which to me describes why people stay in situations that, from the outside looking in, we know is not the best situation. We
Right.
know, you know what I mean, or we not even know, but we believe, you know what I'm saying, that's not the
Right.
best situation to be in. Um, People that's from the inside looking out is in their mind, they're it's easier for them to stay because they can't analyze anything outside of that. You
Facts.
know what I'm saying? So if you
Yep.
can't analyze that situation and see, I was talking to a brother today, and he said, "Man, I bought me a long coat, pea coat, and in my mind, I envisioned, a business suit under that, some type of ambassador, you know what I mean, of a nonprofit organization that's doing some beautiful things in the world. And so recently, I teamed up with a nonprofit organization called Infound, and they help with humanitarian aid, and they're the first people to have their own um, app, for finding
Okay.
people. You know what I'm saying? From finding people to finding lost, animals to finding objects and all that type of stuff globally. And so it's one of those things where in my mind I had already envisioned, this is where I want to be. The one thing he told me was, did you write down, that vision and the direction you want to go? And then did you make sure that your relationships that you have, again, decision making, you know what I'm saying? That you make sure that the people that you're hanging with and dealing with are going to get you there, relationships. And then, when it comes to your job or where you're working, or if you're a businessman, is that going to get you to, because again, you got to make decisions, is that going to get you to ultimately where you want to go? You know what I'm saying? You got to start looking at everything. He even told me, he was like, you look at a squid or an octopus, and they go this way. But imagine if those tentacles didn't go this way. What if some of them just went a different direction?
Right.
It's gonna throw that, it's gonna throw them off. And I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I never analyzed it from that perspective. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna make this conscious decision to start writing down my visions. You know what I'm saying? And the
Yeah.
direction I want to go. Start writing down, well,
Facts.
is this person in my life going to get me to that next level? Start writing down, you know, is this hustle that I'm participating in, is that going to get me to the next level?
Right.
Because ultimately, um, and you and I both know this, if we're not writing it down, it doesn't exist.
It does not.
You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's just one of those things where even me personally, I'm doing my best to try to evolve and grow from scenarios that conversations and scenarios that that I've been in personally or end up in. And now I'm starting to do the analyzing part of seeing, what do those relationships, do those conversations, do those people, you know what I mean, will they be that driving force that's going to motivate me? You know what I'm saying? That's going to motivate me and inspire me to make different decisions. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? To be able to work towards the version of me and the vision of me that I have for myself.
I got
You
you.
know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I'm glad you was able to touch on that, because again, you know, to bring it back to the topic, um, decision make why people, struggle with making decisions, or why people don't make decisions, or anything pertaining to decision making. If you don't take anything else from this conversation, make sure you take the importance of being able to define the problem, but also being able to analyze what's right in front of you, so you can make the most sufficient decision based off of the information you have in front of you.
I'll say another thing to me that's really important too is one, the synchronization of your action and then the execution of sequential action. So, in your life, you got multiple things you can do, multiple ways you can go. Like you say, hey, is this person helping me get here? Is this thing gonna help me get to where I'm going? This is where I'm going, but is this gonna get me this? So you got all these pieces, all these dots, but you got to get all those dots lined up into a line. That's when you get it lined up. Now you got sequential action. You do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this, so that you can get to the end of that line. A lot of people struggle with getting those dots lined up so that they can execute the sequential actions.
Mm,
A
it's a
lot of people
process,
exactly. A lot of people try to do too many things in parallel,
right?
and that parallel, that means doing them at the same time. That doesn't work necessarily because just like when you go into college, you got prerequisites before you go to this class. You know what I'm saying? If you jump right into that class without taking the two classes before it, you're gonna fail in that class.
Yeah,
That's a bad decision. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you're gonna get lost in the sauce,
You'll get lost in the
if you
sauce.
will.
It's a
Right.
bad decision. The good decision is, before you go to the 12th grade, go to the 6th grade and work your way through. Don't just think you can just jump right on in, like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna jump right here and be done. That's not how the game. That's not how the game goes, because there's a learning curve, and there's a learning curve in decisions. And the thing is, people be so afraid to make a
Facts.
bad decision, but that's part of the learning curve. Because when you make a bad decision, you learn what not to do. You know what I'm saying? And when you learn what not to do, that's powerful. That give you more than figuring out what to do right the first time. because you could have just got lucky. And then maybe later down the line, because you've been guessing right all this time, you might guess wrong, and the outcome might be way more consequential than had you messed up, had made a bad decision before. You know, you heard the saying, it's better to fail early than to fail late.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's real spill, man. And again, like I said, it's a process, man. It's one of those things where it's not one of the things that, you're going to get perfect at. Like there's nobody who makes the best decision. Well, let me say, there's
Make the
nobody that
right
make the perfect
decision.
decision or
Yeah,
the right decision every single time. You know what I'm
fact.
saying? Um, but you can make the most efficient decision based off of what you have in front of you or what you can interpret, based off what you have in front of you, man. You can make a pretty damn sufficient, you know what I mean, decision based off of, your current experiences. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So for me, it's one of those things that, uh, and I was talking to somebody the other day about this, about you know, women having a problem with men not making the decisions. WYD, right?
Maybe it was
WYD.
a time goddamn text.
Man, listen, it's funny because once I started talking about it, I started seeing that, you know what I mean, on social media, and I just started laughing because, at the end of the day, there's a reason why somebody asking that. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody wants to know what you're doing, you know, to hopefully follow up with something or uh to get information, you know what I mean? The goal is to get information. And man, I hear women are like damn near beating people up for sending those type of texts. You know what I mean? Like, don't send me a what you doing. Send me I seen one where it was a meme that said, send me I'll be there at 8. Wear that dress I picked out.
Right.
And I'm like, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for you, brother, but have you ever been in a situation to where 9 times out of 10 you are the and if you are, you know what I'm saying, big ups to you if you are this version, because if you are, man, that's the version obviously working on getting myself to, because I'm never happy with being in the same space. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But um, you ever been that guy who 9 times out of 10, you know, is that guy based off of, I'm comfortable with making these decisions for you because you are married. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. I mean, this is my thing.
does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So me,
Okay.
I've always been that guy that's comfortable making decisions for other people. It don't have to be a woman. It could be a brother. You know, I made decisions for my brothers, my sisters, friends. You know, and I just because I made a decision don't mean that they gonna run with it, because at the end
Right,
of the day,
right, right.
that's their decision. You know, I'll give my feedback. I say, hey, you know, I think you need to do this, this, and this. You know, and it's incumbent on them to figure out whether or not they think it works for them or it doesn't. So unless, and then in the dating arena, I definitely make a decision. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this. You know, because like me personally, I hate the what you doing text. I hate that. I always hated that. I hate that because it to me it's a time waster. Because one, like, look, if you want to say something to me, say something to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
You
right.
gotta, like, first of all, if you hit me up, you got some ideas in your mind. you can share them.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't hit me up to just say what I'm
I
doing.
may not like the ideas,
I might not
but
like
you
the
got
idea,
some
and I'll let you
ideas.
know. You know what I'm saying? We'll
Right,
work together to come to a common ground that works for both of them.
right.
But that what you're doing, like, I'll be honest. When I was younger, that what you're doing text, I ignored that text a lot. I
Oh shoot. That's facts. That's facts.
ignored that text a lot because I'm like, man, I'm not. But like, what? I'm like, what I'm doing? Chilling. I would say chilling. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you a one word answer. If it's something you want to know, speak up. Don't hit me. Don't hit me with the what you're doing and you trying to fish for information and all that stuff. If it's something you got to say it. You know what I'm saying? But as far as making decisions, yeah, I've never ever had a problem making a decision. But again, me, I'm huge on feedback. You know, because like I said, I don't profess to say I know all the right answers, and I don't profess to say that my decisions are the best decisions. You know, they might be the best I could think of at that moment, but that don't mean it's the best of all time. So
Right.
I'm always amenable to feedback from a person I'm making a decision with. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that. I can see that. I think that um, I've gotten to I've gotten to the habit of embracing making those decisions too. As a man and in my relationships, you know what I'm saying? I've created the habit of, you know, when I'm with my woman, hey, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna eat. Um, Created the habit of not, okay, we tried that before. Let's go ahead and try a different place. It may be the same food, but let's try a different place, you know what I mean, to see
Right,
if, but here's the thing, I may be wrong. We may
right,
get there, but at least we tried it.
right,
You know what I'm saying? At least we tried it. And I'm gonna hold that L. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you know what? The other place we went to, much better. Tastes way better. Hey, we went over here, but at the end of the day, if I'm only sticking to that one place, and that's only the only place I know for this certain type of dish, then I could be, and this is where my conviction comes in. I don't want to make the decision to only try one thing, one place, and not try for one other things on certain menus, uh, certain different types of venues, just to experience different things that I may experience in life. So now I'm just like, I welcome the opportunity to make these decisions for my kids or make a decision for, my woman, make the decision for myself in regards to uh, sharpening that ability to be able to analyze. Am I cheating myself or am I treating myself?
but I think you're cheating yourself if you're making all the decisions there in that space. And,
Okay, okay,
and here's
okay.
why. Like so, like
Tell me,
tonight.
tell me why.
So like tonight, we went to C180 for my son's birthday. You know, and I could have decided where he wanted to go, but I gave him the floor. I said, "Hey man, where you want to eat at?" And he was in between a couple of places. I could do this or I could do that. I said, "Well, what do you really want?" You know, I think this would probably be a better one, but it's your choice. You know, let me know what you want to do. And then we settled on C180. And, I like so like for food and things like that. Like if you go on a date with somebody you don't know, make the decision 100%. Tell her, okay, I'm taking you here. This is where we're going. Because one,
Hmm.
you're trying to impress this person. But if it's a person you already got, it's a family member, somebody you already got a established relationship with, you ain't got to make the decision off top. Open it up to discussion. Because if you always making the decision, you always gonna get what you've always gotten. If you let other people provide information to the decision, you might be able to get an experience you never experienced. And it might be something that's so awesome. You're like, oh man, I can't believe I never went to a place like this. Because you only going to go to the place that you think of. But when you get another person's thought process involved, you can get exposure to new ideas and experiences. You see what I'm saying?
Mm, I see where you're going. I can see where you're going from there. I see where you're going from there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see exactly where you're going. Allow myself to be in a space to where that dialogue allows me to learn.
Fact. There you go. Dialogue allows you to learn.
The dialogue allows me to learn. Abraham's on his way to, he wants to go to the army. We had an opportunity, to get him in the Navy. And I told him, I said, listen, son, any direction you want to go, I support it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, this is something that you got to volunteer for, not me. All we can do is lay the information lay the information on the ground, and then you make the decision. And being IT and in the Navy didn't make as much sense as it does in the Army. And obviously, I don't care. I never served either one of them, so I don't really know what to tell him, which is a better play than the other. Obviously, you have,
Yeah.
so
The
you got
Navy
a
would have been a
different.
better play. He hit me up.
Hit you up. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. And see, this is what I wanted him to do, but listen, I didn't want to. I had to make a decision for myself and for him. And my decision I made for myself and for him was, you have to make the decision.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to make the decision, say, you know what, I'm gonna fall back, because ultimately this is your path. I don't ever want to be in
Right.
a situation to where you did something because my dad told me I should do it.
Exactly. Then you're
Nah,
gonna get
man.
blamed if it don't work
Then
out.
you're not gonna see the benefits of doing what you're doing, and now I'm gonna be the blame, and now I'm the bad guy. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
And you're gonna hold
And
that. He gonna hold that for the rest of his life.
you're gonna hold that for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? So I chose to fall back, and obviously, like I said, he still chose the army.
Right.
Um, in which, like I said, do what makes the most sense for you. Just make sure you get the resources and quarterback a play that makes that's going to benefit you long term. Um, Either way, he's still gonna win. Learning
Fact.
IT, getting certain, certifications and things of that nature. But I wanted him to understand that you have to make this decision
Right. Because it's your life.
because it's your life, man. Like, listen, I'm gonna do my best to provide you with the people to give you enough information to make a decision. But ultimately, it doesn't matter who I bring in front of you, man. You got to make that decision for yourself.
That's a fact right there. I do the
You
same. I
know
do
what
the
I'm
same thing for
saying?
my son. I say, hey man, I can lay out all kind of options, but you
Hmm.
got to pick one.
You do. You know what I'm saying? You got to make that decision. You got to pull that trigger, man, because
Yeah.
again, I'm cheating you out of an experience and the ability to be able to go back to what we said before, define what the problem is, and analyze the situation to be able to make a decision that you can learn from. You know what I'm saying? Because none of us are perfect out here. We all just trying to go and learn and be the best version we can be, and
Nobody's
not
perfect.
being
You're right.
closed down. No, not at all. Not being closed down to opportunities and dialogue that can provide you with the opportunity to learn something new.
Yep. You're
You
only
know what I'm
aware of what you're
saying?
exposed to.
Bingo, bingo. And
If
I
you're not
think that
exposed
that's
to it, you have no knowledge it exists.
no, not at all. And again, that those can be some challenges that prevent you from making decisions that's going to be the most efficient for you
But it
you
shouldn't
just
be.
it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. If we're being honest, it shouldn't be.
I'm gonna tell
And
you,
I
man. Like for myself, like when I graduated high school and I joined the army,
hmm
coming out of high school, a lot of my friends try to talk me out of it,
hmm
and I have family members that try to talk me out of it too. But I knew I needed to see more. I grew up in the project. I grew up in the Fay apartments, man. I grew up in the hood. I hadn't been exposed to much things of real consequence. So I was like, well, if I go here, I'll see some shit and I'll be able to make better decisions moving forward. And that's what I did. And it lined me up to be able to take advantage of things in a manner where people was always like, "Hey, B, you did that? B, you did that? Yeah." I'm like, I didn't know you do that. I said, "Yeah, you wouldn't know unless you went in this direction because just like when you driving down a road and you got headlights, you can only see so far, so you got to keep going in order to see more of the road." You know what I'm saying? You're driving in the dark with headlights. You can only see so much. But if you keep going down the road, you'll keep seeing more of the road. And then you'll get to where you're trying to go to. But the key is you gotta go. You gotta make a decision to go. You can't sit there and say, you know what, I'm wait till the sun come out before I move, before I go around. But like, all right, sun might not come out.
That's facts. And again, I'm not promoting no branch over the other. You know what I'm saying? At
Oh,
the
not
end
at
of the
all, not at
day,
all.
I don't, I'm not getting paid for that.
It's about decision making.
Right, bingo, bingo. That's what
This
it
is about
boils down
decision.
to.
This is about
It's
decision
about
making.
decision making. You know what I'm saying? And going in a route. I went from was it 19 years old, man, living in Sac to going straight to San Diego because my grandma felt that I was going to end up in jail or dead or what she said, follow my brother's uh,
Right.
footsteps, even though he got put in that position not because of his bad moves, but because of somebody snitching and crossing game. But I mean that's a whole other conversation. But what I realized was when I got to San Diego, it was a whole different experience. It was a whole different experience, man, that I wasn't even prepared for because at the time I had never left Sacramento.
Right.
So everything that you're telling me, the picture you were just painting about, going on that road, and especially if it's dark, as a truck driver, I could tell you, you'll see you're gonna get to where you got to get to if you just keep
Yep.
going. The
Just
the
keep going.
challenge is going. And man, that was one experience that I look back and I'm just like, dude, like if today was my last day on this earth, man, and after this conversation, man, I didn't wake up. I can look back and be like, man, it was fun while it lasted.
Exactly. It was worth it. It was a
It
good
was
decision.
worth it. It was a good decision. You know what I'm saying? It's a good decision. It was it was the most efficient one from my perspective.
Absolutely. And touch on something there, man. And I'm gonna say this, and a lot of people don't like when I say this. I've actually had people say, "B man, you shouldn't say that," but it's how I feel, and it's what I think.
Hmm.
So is I hate to say this, but a lot of times you got to change the people around you to grow.
Majority of the times.
It's
Yeah.
unfortunate, and I think back to the narrative of uh, Frederick Douglass. I'm saying the life of Frederick Douglass. And he didn't want to. He wanted to stay in slavery. He loved the people. Like I don't say he wanted to stay in slavery, but he didn't want to leave the people that he was around.
It was the people, correct.
He didn't want to leave the people he was around,
Right.
but he knew for him to be his better and greater self, he had to lead those people back because they didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay in that condition. And that's the same thing I went through. When I joined the military, my friends didn't want me to go. My friends wanted me to stay, and I'm like, nah, I gotta go. I catch y'all next
Yeah,
year.
I can't do it. Yeah, I can't have the same. No, yeah.
I'm not staying here, man. Like, this is not a condition that I want my life to continue to be in.
Right.
I know there's a greater condition out there for me. So I'm gonna go search for it. I'm gonna drive down this road in the dark with my headlights on. I ain't waiting till the daytime. Daytime might not come. I might not wake up. I'm
Mm.
leaving now.
Mm. Mm-hmm. That's hard.
Yeah,
That is hard. Yeah, listen, even from my perspective, who somebody who values getting up and making a decision, man, I could tell you that shit. It's hard, man.
it ain't
Forgive
hard
my
to me.
language, but
It
it's
ain't hard
it's
to me. It's
it's.
easy.
I'll
It's
say
easy.
for me,
It
it's
was that was the easiest
for me,
decision I've made in my life.
well, yeah, from that perspective, yes. If you talk about that situation, yes. Um, but I'm just talking about like being able to make decisions for your life. It has its challenges. You know what I'm
But
saying?
it
Because like you
shouldn't.
said,
But it
like you
shouldn't.
said, it shouldn't. But here's the thing: like when we get so used to when we get so used to being in a certain space, you know what I'm saying? It's
Details, man.
hard to when we don't know what's on the other side of, you know what I mean, other side of that experience. It's easier to say, you know what, I'll stick to what I got going on over here. So, and I say all that to say, not that that's the best play for you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because obviously I'm an example of, you know,
The opposite.
go
Exactly. But
see
you
what that, go
exactly.
see what's on the other side of that, or the
And that's
other
why I'm
side of
glad
that
you brought this
hill,
up.
right? Go see what's on the other side of that hill. But I can totally understand the mentality somebody has when it comes down to understanding how challenges it can be to make those decisions, even though I'm still going to tell you, f- perfect example, you know what I mean? I'm a perfect example. You're a perfect example of the opportunities you have if you, and the experiences, man. Like we can sit here and have conversations of the experiences that we were afforded in the past because we made decisions to get out of the environments that wasn't the most productive spaces to be in for
They were being
what we
stagnant
seen.
growth.
Bingo. You know what I'm saying? The stories are totally different. Totally different. Like and the thing about it is, you know what I mean? If we're allowed to see another tomorrow, the future is bright.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? The future is bright. We're in the
Yep.
right rooms. We're around the right people. You know what I'm saying? The future is bright.
That's a fact. And like, like for the people that find that difficulty in leaving the comfortability of familiarity, it's like I bet if you get 100 men and you put them on a bus and there's a fine one of the most beautiful women they ever seen, I bet they go all the way to figure out what's up with her, try to get her information. That's the same way I see life. How come you can't treat life like that? If there was a woman, you go after it. You don't know nothing about this woman, but you know you see something you like, and you're about to go find out. Treat life the same way. You know what I'm
Treat life the same way. Go and listen,
saying?
man. Hey, growing up, man, I didn't pop that ones where I'm just like, man, F it. You know what I'm
Yep,
saying?
I ain't got
Hey,
nothing to
I'm
lose.
just gonna come up. I ain't got nothing to lose,
I
man.
ain't
I'm
got
gonna
nothing
come
to
up with
lose.
something and see how this
Everything to
play out.
win. Everything to gain.
Everything to gain. You know what I'm saying? Let me just see how this played out. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. But at the end of the day, I survived it.
Facts.
And I think that even though we're not talking about this, I think that the idea of, you know, especially as a young man, when you're really trying to carve out in the world an identity of who you want to be, because you
Right.
have control over that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important to be able to get out there and take some no's. I think running away from And you know what this we can't tie this to decision making. Um, Being able to go out there and take some no's and being able to, nah, I'm good. I think that that builds character.
Builds resiliency. You
It
need that
builds
to make decisions.
resiliency,
You know
and you need that to
what
make decisions.
I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? You need that to make decisions, brother. Straight
Absolutely.
up. You need that to
But
make
when you got
decisions, man.
resiliency, you can have accountability. You'll be accountable to yourself because you're resilient enough to not give up on yourself, to not give up on what
Right.
you decided. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, brother. That's a beautiful thing. Well, hey, man, always a pleasure.
You know how you know it is.
Always a pleasure, man. Oh, I just wanted to just put this out there, man. Hey, I think they freed that man, Andrew Tate. I think they said he on house arrest or something
Yeah,
like
he's
that,
out.
man. Oh man, it's gonna be a huge lawsuit if they don't put something, if they don't put some poison in his water
I'm
and take him
curious
out
of the
beforehand.
outcome coming
I'm
down the
curious.
line.
I'm curious
I
of that
wonder
too.
how this soap opera is going to play out.
Yeah, me too, man. You know, my son sent me a screenshot of the date, right? And he said the Matrix movie came out March 31st, and he said they freed that man March 31st. Now I didn't go online to confirm because I mean it was a long day at work and it wasn't that important to me.
Right.
Um, but I just thought that that was pretty interesting because you know nothing is coincidence, you know, when dealing with the powers that be. Um, but it was just funny that he sent me that, you know, like that. And March
Yeah.
31st when the Matrix came out, because you know Andrew Tate talks about the Matrix all the
Right.
time and beating the Matrix and escaping the Matrix, and it just so happened that
That would be very interesting if that is true.
oh for
Yeah.
sure that'd be
Man,
very interesting.
yeah, it's very interesting. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
for
saying? Like,
sure,
I do believe coincidences do exist, but they're seldom.
for
I
sure,
don't think this.
for
I don't think
sure.
this would be a case of coincidence. So
No, no, I don't believe that. I think when you're dealing with organizations and structures who's been around for years. Um, they have systems in place. They have checks and balances. They have multiple departments that again specialize in decision making. You know, they have the departments that are good at, you know, defining the problem. They have another department that's good at analyzing the problem. They have another department that's, you know what I'm saying? So that they have systems that are set up to where they make the best and greatest, you know, decisions based off of, you know, whatever their goals are at the time that, you know, at the time of those decisions.
right.
And they have the resources, you know, the money and all of that to back them on the decision. And I'm very, very interested, just like you, to see how this plays out.
Yes.
Because I think it's gonna ignite, I think it's gonna ignite so many young men that, you know, him and his brother and his, you know, organization has already touched. Um, and from the little bit that I, you know, that I've seen online, you know, he created like a little army of young dudes that are now back in the gym. They working out, they eating healthier. You know what I'm saying? They're taking control of their life, and he created a little army. So, you know, when he gets out, him and his brother get out, man, that's gonna be huge.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So we'll
Yeah.
see. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to me. It's entertainment.
It's yeah. I won't spend. I definitely won't spend hours on this. It's
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
entertainment.
and I hate that
Yeah,
another man's life is my entertainment because that's not really that cool. But I don't know him, and I don't know anything else that's going on. So it's from the outside looking in. I'm pretty sure my
right.
life to some people is probably entertainment. You know,
No, for sure.
You know,
For
so
sure. If they don't know you, oh, for
yeah, they
sure.
don't,
And even some
yeah,
people that do know you, that don't that are hoping you don't get to that, get to that next level. That it's entertainment
oh
for
yeah,
them
I
instead
already
of
know
a
I got them.
negative. Oh, for
I look
sure.
forward to letting them down.
Yeah. Hey, for sure. That's what it is, brother. Yeah,
Look forward
that's
to
what it
disappointing them.
is. Yeah, that's what it is, man. Okay, so hey, man, I appreciate you guys tapping in with us tonight. We got another, it's another live one in the books. You guys enjoy the rest of your night, man. You want to say anything before we get up out of here?
Hey man, don't be afraid to make a decision, good people. If you're wrong, it only hurts for a little bit, and you'll learn something.
Hmm.
Just make a decision. Don't be afraid to make a decision, and don't be afraid to make a decision that scares you. Matter of fact, the thing you're most scared to do is what you should do. So there you
There it
go,
is. There it is.
my
Well, peace
brother.
to the God, man. Peace to
Already
the God. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night, man.
for
Catch
sure.
y'all later.